All right, welcome in, welcome in. It is Tuesday morning, the Ides of March. It is my wife's birthday, so happy birthday to my wife. Want to start
Nice.
that off right? Yeah, that we know
I
who
don't know your wife's name, but happy birthday,
Natalie.
Mrs. Kendall. Does she go by Mrs. Kendall?
She's actually Dr. Del Vecchio. She
I was
kept
going to
her
say, I've
last
been
name. Yeah.
married almost 22 years, and I'm still not sure what my wife's last name is at
Yeah,
times.
it's yes, ma'am.
Exactly. Whatever she wants it to be.
2 clicks or 1. No, absolutely. Yeah. Happy birthday to the wife, Dr. Del Vecchio. Shout out to her and welcome in, guys. Happy day 2 of free agency. Broncos made a somewhat late evening splash. I was making her a birthday cake when that came across, and the cake got made a little slower because of that, but it's still good. Yeah, DJ Jones in the house, and Broncos doing something. It's fun. I was starting to get a little bit scared because the Chargers were making good move after good move. I feel like
Hold
I've
on a
been
second,
praising
Nick. I'm
them.
missing Facebook here.
Oh, well, let's get let's get Facebook up in here.
Yeah, I interrupted you, and it throws off our flow. That's my fault.
No, it's totally fine. I did not get it going. Now I have to tell everybody it's my wife's birthday again. No, she probably doesn't want to. She doesn't care. There we go. Facebook folks up in here. Broncos signed DJ Jones, 3-year, 30 million, 20 million guaranteed to help solidify the Broncos run defense. And I'm excited. I'm excited. Obviously, the Broncos played pretty high for what is a run stuffing defensive tackle, not a guy who's typically been a very good pass rusher. Also not a guy who has the massive body type of your typical nose tackle 3 technique position. And I'm really curious to see what his role is in Denver, because the way the 49ers used him, I guess we'll paint the picture here. 49ers play a 4-3 defense, and they do not really use a nose tackle or a defensive tackle who's lined up over the A gap. Still, DJ Jones played a vast majority of their reps over the A-gap last year, 54 compared to Contravius Street's 17. But mostly he was over the B-gap and playing a little bit of gap and a half there for the 49ers. So let's say hello to there, just kind of getting some information out there for you guys, because I've been doing a little research this morning and my brain is still on fallback time. So Jacob Foster, God bless you, man. Coming in with the kid, with the pictures, with the support. We love you, Jacob. Thank you so much. Good morning to you. Hopefully you're enjoying the Broncos day 1 of free agency. We'll see what day 2 brings.
So, yeah, Jacob wishing a happy birthday to everybody here. And some other folks coming in here saying happy birthday to Doctor. What did I hear? A good Italian in there, like Del Vecchio?
Yes, Del Vecchio, the old one, is the what Del Vecchio means. Yep,
Who's the famous Del Vecchio? Was that like Shirley from Laverne and Shirley or something? There's
I
a
think
famous.
so. Yep, I
There's
think
a
so.
there's a famous Del Vecchio name in there in the TV history.
Yeah.
No, when I took a look at DJ Jones, I said, my goodness, Nick, he certainly reminds me of a certain Atlanta Falcon that I've been talking about would play for the Denver Broncos. 6 foot, 305, quick as a cat, great hands. The big difference between multi-time Pro Bowler Grady Jarrett and DJ Jones is 90% of the player at half the price. And, to be fair to Nick, the same concerns that he had about someone like Grady Jarrett fitting there, he just expressed with DJ Jones. Is it a great fit? Again, and Nick, you're always very big on the numbers and the number of snaps. You've got a guy that can play he can stay in a 4-3 type, depending on what package you're in. If you want to walk 4 up, if you want to walk 5 up, if you want to slide him inside or outside, he's strong enough at 6 foot 305. He's going to have the leverage that he can hold a nose guard position if you need him to. I've watched him sit there and hold up a center and a guard just fine. He's really quick off the ball, so he gets good penetration. And I like the move. I do. And again, 10 million sounds like a lot, but it's when I compare it to, like I said, to a very, very similar player in Grady Jarrett, it's not that much. Grady Jarrett's about to hit the free agent market. He's got 1 year left on his deal, and he'll probably get about twice that, at least 1.5 that. So that's and DJ's younger. So I think that's a good fit in that area. We've mentioned the word bullied several times about what has happened in the trenches. This guy can get bullied. He's an animal. He's an animal in there. And y'all have heard me also say before, don't sleep on these Mississippi kids. The kids down in Mississippi, I don't mean to sound condescending here, but I'll say the same thing about like South Florida and Pahokee. It's not like my Buford Parkview kids here in Metro Atlanta that have had personal trainers since they were 12. they're just starting to scratch the surface the minute they get to college, between training, strength and conditioning, nutrition, and all of those type of things. That a 6th-round draft pick from Ole Miss, just got a $30 million contract. Congratulations to him, and frankly to, again, I keep harping on it, the state of Mississippi and the players that they produce.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a big one, and I'm really excited the Broncos did that. I do think that the Broncos had their eyes on Sebastian Joseph Day first and foremost. So that's my understanding based on who I've talked to. And he took the Chargers deal, which was slightly more than what the Broncos offered. And then Denver pivoted to DJ Jones. So they paid more for DJ Jones, but he's a more premium player as far as what he brings to the table with his run defense. And let's say hello. We got a couple super chats coming in here. $4.99. Let's say hello to those first. We got Kevin. Oh, there you go, Scott. Kevin and I talk on Twitter a good bit. So hello to Kevin. And Kevin is the first person I got to give him some credit. You're a big Christian Watson guy. He brought me Christian Watson, said, watch this guy a month before the Senior Bowl. So shout out to Kevin. Wide receivers, if they go fast, I know them. Typically, that's how I go with wide receivers. I'm much better with my trench play and cornerback evaluation. Honestly, that's another one. But Kevin coming in was disappointed to not get Joseph Day, but I think DJ Jones is way better. And based on his highlights, he seems a decent pass rusher as well. Highlights can be deceiving, I guess is what I will say. DJ Jones is slippery, but you didn't bring him in for his pass rush. He does have the ability where if you leave him one-on-one, he can be slippery and slide off a guard or a center. But you brought him in because he helps you change the math up front with a good run stuffer. The Broncos were 30th in the NFL last year in run stuffs. Now, what is a run stuff? Run stuff is where the rushing play for the opposing team gets either 0 or negative yards. And you wonder why the Broncos were so bad at getting after the quarterback last year. They were one of the worst teams on 3rd and yards to go in the entire NFL. They just didn't have
on
many.
Both sides, Nick.
We
talk about on both sides. So again, bullied in the trenches. When you're looking at 3rd and short on defense, and when you're looking at 3rd and long on offense, it's tough to win games.
Yep, exactly. And 1st and 2nd down, we are out of the run, the RRPP era, which is run, pass, punt, where 1st and 2nd down are pass plays in today's NFL. And that's honestly the big reason why you've seen I guess we'll call it the revolution of the 2 high shells on 1st and 2nd down, because 1st and 2nd down are pass downs in today's NFL. And when you have a guy like DJ Jones, guess what? You can play 2 high because you don't have to allocate 7 guys to the box and play cover 1 or cover 3 on 1st and 2nd down and get killed by a Patrick Mahomes and get killed by a Justin Herbert. So excited to see what DJ Jones brings. And good morning to you, Kevin. We got Bryce coming in too. I don't recognize this name. Bryce Parasine. $4.99.
I recognize he's newer, but definitely not his first time here. So welcome back, Bryce. Thanks for being here.
New to me. Awesome. We got 4-time first team All-Pro in NFL's 2010 All-Decade punter. James Heckert, I believe, is set to be released from the LA Rams via McAfee. I say we make a play. He's definitely interesting. I'm always a little bit skeptical of paying specialists, especially now that the Broncos are moving on from the suffer ball era. And you are already paying. Sorry, Scott, I have to steal that because
I'm glad you've adopted that phrase. It just fits.
I mean, God, I think about it for the Iowa Hawkeyes too. It's God. Everyone drink. But yes. The thing that kind of concerns me about Heckert, not that he is not a Hecker, not that he's not a good punter, but it's also you're already paying Brandon McManus a lot of money too. So do you want to allocate that much money to both your kicking specialists? I need to see what they else first. Like if that's the difference between you being able to bring in Chandler Jones or not, or you bringing in another defensive back or not, don't pay the punter. Don't pay the punter. But I'm interested down the line.
Well, and I was looking at last year, we were talking about Mike Purcell and all this. I'm like, wait a minute. And I think I'm right on this. It may have changed with escalators and contracts, but I'm like, I think you're paying your kicker and your punter more than you're paying your starting nose guard.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a little backwards, Mike Purcell. And when I first read DJ Jones, I was thinking 325, and I was like, okay, this is a Mike Purcell upgrade, which I still think is coming. Mike can do a job, but I'd still like to bring in some competition for him.
Yeah.
Want to hit this question from Juan Espinoza real quick. He said, "How does the money work?"
New pick from Juan as well.
I'm sorry.
It's a new picture from Juan as well.
Oh,
so
okay.
Shout out Juan.
Yeah, that looks like a fireman.
Yeah.
A fireman get up. So no, we only had 23 million. We signed DJ for 30. Just wondering how that works out. Oh, there we go. Big shout out to first responders. Thank you for all your hard work. Absolutely, without a doubt. So thank you from all of us to all of you. And from all of Broncos country. The 30 million is across 3 years, so it's just 10. So theoretically, that would leave 13. That said, the cap is also flexible based on what you want to do. And Spot Rec's really good at this, is the big number is guaranteed money. And then you do that across the 3 years. So if you hear it's 23 million guaranteed, you think, okay, then I've really got against the cap. Let me do it 21 million because that's easier math. 21 million, then it's really 7 million across 3 years against the cap. And then maybe it eats into the 10, but that's how you can think of that. So when you're looking at these numbers, and it's gotten better because it used to be the contracts were all just BS. They're all basically just a series of 1-year deals with club options. They could be waived at any time. It's like, oh, he just got $100 million. It's like, he'll see 5 of that. He didn't get $100 million. It's ridiculous. But there's much more guaranteed contracts, like, just going back to Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy's deal is, I think, like 5.5 to 10, depending on what he ends up doing, which puts him right in line of the 5 to 7 of what we've been talking about that he was before Charlotte, the Carolina Panthers lost their mind. So do the math works, divide total compensation by what you hear by number of years, but really look at the guaranteed number. When that's always reported, because NFL contracts, the most dangerous sport of our big sports, is the only one without guaranteed contracts. So appreciate you, Juan. Good question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Juan. Let's say hello to some people.
We've got some other folks coming in. Luke saying good morning, Nick and Scott. How do you like DJ Jones? I think we've hit on that a lot. I think that guys under 6'3" on the interior line are discriminated against coming into college and also coming out of college. And then once they prove themselves in the NFL, then they get paid. So they've got to work just a little bit harder and do things a little bit better. Again, 6th-round pick. I mentioned Grady Jarrett, 5th-round pick. Oh, he's too short. Yeah, until he goes in there and wrecks your freaking season. Then you might want to get somebody like that on your team. He's got a great burst, quick hands, and a high motor guy. I know high motor. Yeah, but he is. Yeah, that's how you have to make up for being 6 foot tall. He works a little bit harder.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm flashing some good mornings here. We got a lot to talk about, so I'm not going to shout out every person, but you deserve your screen time if you're hanging out with us today. And Mark gets a shout out. Mark was driving yesterday and sent us a message. I saw you, Mark. Be safe. I'm glad you're doing okay down there in Katy, Texas. Is it Katy, I think? But good morning, guys. Ready for day 2. I like the move.
Katy, Texas, too. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen them in the state championship games. They take their high school football seriously down in Mark's neck of the woods.
Professional high school football. Let's be real. I'm excited for day 2 also. We'll get into that in a second because there's a lot to talk about. And I've heard 2 names specifically to keep an eye out for today. Things could change. I mean, that's the thing. Oh, Nick, you said the Broncos were interested in Joseph Sheldon-Day. They were, but guess what? Somebody paid a little bit more and he followed the money as his American God-given NFL right. So, God bless him for that, I guess. Unfortunately, he goes to the Chargers, but excited about DJ Jones. We got Arthur in there. We got to say hello
to the stars. You can lie to us. I'm a sucker for flattery. I'm insecure, so I'm a sucker for flattery.
Absolutely. Hello to our Twitch guy. Hello, guys. Good to see you, Arthur. We got Rebels. Basically replaced Harris with Jones. Joey Budke also. Morning, guys. Clayton Huron's in the house also. Good to see DeAndre Weatherspoon. Scott, I'm so sorry. I'm just kind of rolling through.
I know. You're all caffeinated up this morning.
I'm
Miguel
compensating.
Saying, good morning, fellas. Really hope we solidify that offensive tackle spot here in free agency to deal with the possible problems in LA. When it comes to general manager and personnel movement, Miguel is is it Miguel or Lawrence? Miguel, maybe it's Lawrence. It's Lawrence Rivera. Is our doubter. He's our but guy. So maybe that's what threw me off with here because they're doing some good stuff in LA. That's for sure. When you get somebody like the Chiefs and you get some money available and you start to go after some guys, and with the salary caps and everything, you can start paying some guys. Now, some of the questions, and appreciate the stars, Miguel, as always. That was a pretty good one too, by the way. From the run on pass punt. If you pass on first down and it's incomplete, they always run on second down. Just stack the box. Here comes a run. What they hate more than second and 10 is 3rd and 10. So it goes from 2nd and 10 to 3rd and 8 almost every time. Yeah. James, that was a good one.
Keeping up with here. GWI guys.
Good morning. I interrupted in a conversation here, so I didn't get that one.
Well, morning to you,
good
GWI
morning, Ethan.
Guys.
And I said Russell Wilson and Pookie for the graphic. I did. Now
Yeah.
I feel bad. I don't want to
Yeah.
ask again.
I did also. But yeah, but we don't make the shots. We're just here to dance, monkey dance. That's us in the mornings. It's like, oh, you want me to wake up at 6:30 a.m. to talk football? Okay. Here's clink your cup. Todd in here. Gotta give love waking up to Mile High. Love you, Todd. Good morning to
Yeah,
you.
thanks for the stars. Appreciate
Yep.
you, sir. Again, that feels like a newer name.
Yeah, it
So
does.
welcome to the show. Glad you're here with us this morning, along with a little 300 and counting
Yeah.
of Broncos country, and probably some folks, might be a couple 49ers fans watching today.
Yep.
I know we've had some, we used to have Packers fans creeping in, not so much anymore. Now we get
Yeah.
some Seahawks fans kind of coming in now and then.
Yeah.
But welcome. So it's growing. We're up to 326 since I said that. So everybody welcome in and hit that button. What Dylan just said. As you're coming
guys.
in, hit that like button and share. And if you haven't, hit subscribe. That way you get the alerts. You don't miss us.
We got 330 people in here on the both sides of things. Make sure you guys are hitting the thumbs up and everything on the way, and does us a lot of help. Also, make sure you're following Scott and I on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy, and I'm at Nick Kendell MHH. And a lot of content, a lot of fun memes on this end, and a lot more of an intelligent conversation on Scott's end. I'm just here to have fun. What am I talking about? So yeah, let's keep it going here. DJ Jones. I'm curious, Scott. So the Broncos are running a 3-4 base defense, but by everything I'm hearing, this is a team that not only wants to live in nickel, they want to live in dime. They want to live with 6 defensive backs on the field as often as possible. So to me, that says, like, yes, DJ Jones is going to play some nose. You're going to see that sometime, but none of these teams in the AFC West right now are built to be bully ball, power football. There are teams that are spread it out right now, 11 personnel, shotgun, bombs away. So now you have DJ Jones. What is his ideal role in this defense? Where are you playing him? Because some people are saying he's a Mike Purcell replacement, which I can see, but I think he's a Mike Purcell replacement in base packages, which is the classic 3-4-3 defensive lineman, a nose tackle. Maybe he's a shaded nose where he's playing that one technique rather than the true zero, which is lined up over the center. But I think you're going to see him. It's not just he's replacing Purcell there. He's also probably replacing Shelby Harris in sub package, in dime package as well. So while like we need a Shelby Harris replacement, he is of sorts. You don't have to have a 1-for-1 replacement. It's a it's a new team. It's a somewhat different scheme. And I'm really curious about these roles because again, this, as much as it's kind of been a bit for me, just having fun with it, saying like, linebackers don't matter. Why would you spend premium resources in the linebacker position? You can find somebody off the street. You're going to be okay. It sounds like Ejiro Evero is really leaning into that, where it's like linebackers.
I was just kidding.
Yeah, like I was like,
a linebacker. You know what? We're going 7 DBs and 4 linemen.
I mean, last year, if they could have, they would have done 5-0-6 for the Rams without playing a single linebacker.
3-8. We're going 3-8.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to just keep saying Falcons on this, but you watched enough Falcons. They both run 3-4 base defenses, and you've got a 6-foot, 305-pound, quick as a cat defensive lineman to use as a perfect comp. Yeah. So he's going to be Grady Jarrett. That's what he's going to do. Yeah. He can come inside. He can come outside. Now, his best position as 4-3 defensive tackle is lining up slotted, not directly over the center where you're going to get double teamed every time, but being able to beat those guys off the ball and split to get tackles for loss. But he's also strong enough to hold up a double team. Mm-hmm. What this also means to me in some of the questions in here, and Chandler Jones today, Connor, we're hitting on that, and Travis was coming on this. Do you think we'll still address edge and tackle in free agency? Yes, I do. I think at least one of, and I think both of them between free agency and the draft. I think you have to. I really do. And there's players out there that are available. So what this does in a 3-4 is it frees up. We mentioned Shelby Harris. He had kind of a down season, but he was expecting to play next to Vaughn or Chubb, depending on, where they lined up and switched around. But having 2 edge guys like that, and he didn't, and you could focus on Shelby a little more. So what this tells me is you're not quite done. You've got a guy that can be versatile inside, and you're going to get an edge, and you're going to have multiple guys to deal with that we can team up. Now you've got to deal with both of these guys. Mm-hmm. And Shelby was on similar money, I would imagine. So he may have even been on just a little bit more. But he's versatile. That's the whole point. You can play him anywhere across 4 or 5 spots, lined up from tackle to tackle, inside the tackle, all across those gaps. and get something for him. And at $10 million, that's not overly expensive for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And also something that people can keep in mind, typically when teams go from base to sub package with the 3-4 look, the nose tackle is taken off the field. But last year with the Rams specifically, as your Evero's defense, they would use Ashawn Robinson. You guys maybe remember that name because he was a absolute unit for the Alabama for a while. A lot of people thought he was going to go very high, but not a good pass rusher, more of a classic, 3 to 5 technique run stuffer. So what the Rams did in the base packages is they would bring in a specialized 5 technique, the 3-4 defensive end, and then he would come off the field in sub packages. So you could see the Broncos still bringing in another body on the defensive line, but somebody more that is going to be taken off the field in sub packages, or maybe even a more specialized sub package rusher. Maybe somebody like a Calais Campbell who really offers a lot of versatility up front. Maybe he take a slight discount to come home to Denver on the back end of his career and a chance to chase a ring with Denver. So we'll see. But there's still a need there, no doubt. Right tackle, also edge rusher. They need. I mean, they still haven't. As much as I slander him, I'm absolutely shocked that they still haven't tendered Malik Reed, given what the market is for edge rushers. I mean, that I guess they probably feel closer to what I feel like about Reed than I even thought. But
and Nick, the numbers that we've been talking about early in free agency, what should this guy get, except for Teddy Bridgewater, has been double.
Yeah,
it's been double for the guys we've heard. Foye Oluokun, linebacker, 7 to 8, 15.
Jags, man, the Jags.
Well, and then it was both because I was going to go Christian Kirk then too.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 20.
God, this is crazy.
21. So again. Oh, you get impatient. These other people are making moves, but man, being hit, doing something like that, and then, just in a year or two, it hurts. It hurts you. It hurts your flexibility to go out and make moves, to go out and make in-season moves.
Mm-hmm.
And good morning, Michael. Appreciate you being here. And Chad coming in with some stars again, because I really like this question. He says, "Good morning, fellas. I was wondering, do we have enough cap left to sign, say, a Lael Collins, right tackle, if cut, or a Chandler Jones, or are we down to maybe one more free agent signing? Thanks and love the show." A big money guy, you got one more, but you can do this multiple ways. You can spread it out. You can also restructure guys.
Yep.
You can the cap is flexible. So what you see now, there's people making signings that are $30 million over the cap. Green Bay Packers throw a franchise tag on Devontae Adams. They're like $50 million in the hole. They got to figure all that stuff out. So you guys are playing with house money. No hyperbole there, but you're so much farther ahead than everybody else, and everybody else is still making signings.
Yep.
So you could bring in 2 of those guys, I believe, if you really, really wanted to. I think you still could.
Yeah, and the Broncos specifically, they can create a lot of cap room still, converting a lot of the base salaries to signing bonuses. And the contracts to look out for here that you could see converted to signing bonus are Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, and Justin Simmons. That can create like almost 40 to 50 million more in cap space if you need to do that.
So there was a question last night, and I think that Zach and Chad kind of missed on it. I put it it was at the very end, just talking about we might have to be prudent. I think it was Amy Bright maybe on YouTube. So we might have to be prudent because we don't have a lot of cash. And they took that to mean as available cap space. I take that to mean one of you guys ever heard me say that ownership matters when you need signing bonuses.
Yep.
When you need to buy out the contract of a coach that you want to fire. That's when it matters. Hey, I want to get Chandler Jones, but we're going to need $40 million in upfront money to do it.
Yeah.
We're going to get Chandler Jones, but I got to be able to convert Jerry Jeudy's next contract into, whatever. I've got to be able to pay this out.
Yeah, totally.
That's when the ownership matters.
Mm-hmm.
And with, a pending sale and that type of thing, they might be trying to hoard their cash for something like that. And that's where it does matter. And I thought that was a very good point from Amy last night.
Yeah, I do think that with the impending sale, I mean, if I was a bank, again, finance guy over here, not so much. Talk about the national debt economy. There's other people for that. I'm more of the talent evaluation draft guy, and trying to be more scheme also. But when it comes to the Broncos cap space, I don't think if I was a bank and listen, we don't really have the cash available right now, but we're about to sell the team for incredible money, and we just got Russell Wilson, so those luxury boxes are going to be amazing. And we added, 5-10% on the sale by bringing in Russell Wilson.
$100 million bridge loan.
The money's coming. You just have to sit here, and this next guy will even this is part of the sale. Oh, okay. Here's the money. I'll throw it at it, and it's going to be solved. So I do think the Broncos themselves are actually, compared to a lot of teams, cash poor. I mean, and we're talking about teams that are really, really rich, but that is a short-term problem with the new ownership situation coming in because the Broncos have to go to the highest bidder within reason. All the owners have to approve the ownership sale. So like not anybody can just come in and buy the team, but still it's going to be a different situation here in, just half a year. Jay Roper coming in, you, Nick, and Albright both stated Von's president in the locker room, not wanted. And why is that? Is Von a bad guy? And then Jay also says, why has the locker room moved on from him? Cortland said he would love to have him back. I don't think it's the locker room themselves that have moved on from him. And I'm just speculating. Von is a scheme fit. He's still one of the best pass rushers on the market. He's said that he wants to come to Denver. Maybe that's a PR game by him. Would be smart if it was. But to me, I'm trying to connect dots. So why would this make sense? And the Broncos are being connected to every edge rusher besides Von Miller. Why is that? And the only thing that makes any sort of sense in my brain is that George Paton and the Broncos organization want a different direction of leadership in their locker room. I think when Von Miller was traded, the likes of Bradley Chubb and Justin Simmons were empowered. And now also you have Russell Wilson coming in. This is Russell Wilson's team. Make no mistake about it. So if you bring back Von, is there backsliding to what the previous roles and norms were? Do you lose some of that leadership and direction for guys who will just take a backseat to Von because Von's been there? Von is Mr. Bronco. Again, this is just me speculating. I'm not hearing, I haven't heard anything here. I'm just trying to make sense because there's a need, there's familiarity. The Broncos have the cap space. I mean, it all lines up, but there seems to be a disconnection. So I don't know. I'm speculating.
Yeah, and publicly it doesn't do any good to talk like we don't want him. No, Vaughn was great. We love Vaughn. Love to have Vaughn back.
Yeah.
Yep. That doesn't mean anything. And if you've been in a corporate team environment like that, when someone moves up and moves on, that is a leader, there's a vacuum, and people step into those places and they want to step up into the leadership role. As soon as you lose somebody like that, people underneath there, they're chumming. Like I want that spot. And when they get it, they don't necessarily want it to go by. Now, Vaughn might be, humble enough to say, listen, that's fine. I want to come in. I want to do a job. I'll help where I can. That's what happens to older guys at times if they can keep their egos in check. And I think Vaughn probably could. And again, it's us speculating, but that would be the main reason. Is it's like, listen, we played under Vaughn. We had Vaun. It's our turn. It's our turn now, and we want to roll this way. And if someone else wants to come in, they can be new. They won't come in with the aura of a Von Miller. Going back to soccer, Cristiano Ronaldo goes into Manchester United. How does that affect all of the young players that are stepping up into leadership roles? It's the same type of environment there.
Yeah. And again, this is just purely trying to connect dots here because on the surface, it doesn't make any sense. The Broncos would not be interested in bringing Von back. Maybe they are. I mean, God, George Paton keeps like, hey, look over here. And while he's doing magic tricks with his
DJ Jones. Hand. Remember how much we talked about DJ Jones being the next Denver Bronco? Yeah, me neither.
One of the hundreds of defensive tackles yesterday. The market for defensive tackles yesterday, too. My goodness. Can you believe that?
Nick, I keep telling you. We keep undervaluing these guys in the draft, and then you end up paying through the nose in free agency. Tell me Travis Jones is going in the 60s. Take him in the first and get him for 5 years.
He's going to go 20 to 40 range for sure. Insane. I mean, not as insane as the one I keep telling you is while there's wide receivers in the draft every year, they still get freaking paid.
Oh, yeah. You look at and there's depth of payment there. But again, there's you're throwing 40 to 50 times a game. You need 3 or 4 wide receivers on a team. You need 100 wide receivers in the league.
Yep, and you need 100 cornerbacks too. And that's getting here to Jamie Renton. How do you guys feel about a Jeff Gladney fit scheme-wise? I'm going to be honest with you. I know that Jeff Gladney was released after some pretty egregious charges that he had, but I don't know the specifics of it. I know that I think they were dismissed, but still, a lot of NFL teams, their talent evaluation, especially in the college side, but also on the pro side, is as much private investigator firm finding out the background information and character and talking with people that are connected to these players as it is actually watching the film and seeing who fits and whatnot. Man, I've heard stories of guys talking to people's, high or middle school principals because there was a fight they had one time. It's crazy. But you're talking about multi-million-dollar investments.
You're talking about, I'm going to dump $85 million into Christian Kirk, and I can spend $1 million to have a legal firm and private investigators on retainer to make sure I'm protecting all of my investment of $1 billion business, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely, you're doing that kind of due diligence.
Yep. So
And
Gladney, I
they've
think
got a much lower bar than a legal system. It's like, yeah, he was in charge, but this guy's a POS.
yeah.
Stay away from him.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about Gladney. I'm just talking about
Yeah.
in general. That's what their job is.
Yeah, exactly. And they just want to make, I mean, it's all about, as terrible as it is, the public relations side of things is part of it. And the other one is, just the risk. The risk is big. So we got C. Patrick Havner coming in here. Thank you so much, C. Patrick. And also Grant Hamilton. Good morning. I feel like the time change is legal tampering with my sleep. Absolutely. Love the Willem Dafoe picture. I feel like I've just embraced my inner Willem Dafoe for 2022.
We adjust the fall back in about 6 hours, and it takes 6 months for us to get used to spring forward.
Yeah, absolutely. But Jeff Gladney, I do think he's a scheme fit. The Broncos will have to do their due diligence on his background. George Paton should know him pretty well if there was any risk with him prior, because he was drafted by the Vikings out of TCU. I liked him coming out of TCU. Pretty, honestly, good inside-outside player. I think he is actually a really good scheme fit. But again, the background stuff, I know is what was it? It was his felony assault charge was found not guilty. But again, that's who knows? As far as not guilty, innocent, risk, perception, PR. I mean, there's other options as well. And I guess we can get into that here in a second. But Mark Schrader coming in with the support. Think Billy Turner, offensive tackle from the Packers, is a good add. Which edge do you think is the best fit? I would be fine bringing Billy Turner in for decently cheap. He's versatile. He's one that lets you patch the hole for a year and also give you some flexibility along the offensive line as well. If you, let's say you draft Abraham Lucas at 64 and he's like, oh my God, this dude's incredible day one. He should be starting. Billy Turner is a great swing tackle then and a great swing guard. Every position but center. Maybe not left tackle, but left guard, right tackle.
And my guy Chuck Sikora got re-signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday. And there was it was about 3 years, $30 million. He got a 5X raise coming off the season he had. That's probably about right.
Yep.
And, there was some mediocre player. I'm like, yeah, he might have been mediocre. A mediocre 24-year-old right tackle, on the ascendancy. I'm willing to invest in that. And so are the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I was wondering, and that may have been in the cards for a long time because there wasn't nearly enough chatter about that kid for the season that he had last year and his age. And again, that check mark headed in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Smack my head. Sorry, somebody just said that on Twitter, so making me laugh. Wyatt Horning in here. Good morning, gents. Michael Chapp is in the house morning. Who we getting today? Yeah, let's lean this. I'll let Scott look at the chat here, find the next comment here. Who we getting today? My understanding is the Broncos are making a play for both Chandler Jones, Jacob Foster coming with the Stars again. Thank you so much, Jacob. Man, just helping us out here, keeping us going, feeding the machine, feeding the content machine. Go ahead.
And here's Lawrence. And Lawrence is our resident but guy when it comes to, and that's fine because he's respectful about it and brings up good points.
I am too.
When it comes to George Paton and the Denver Broncos. And he says, I think they need to get the bids higher for Broncos as they also departed Elway, who had the lawsuit. I think in this, we're talking about ownership.
Yeah.
Get the bids higher for the Broncos. They're for sale. So, hopefully it'd be nice if this is done by the beginning of next season. But again, like I said, I think Amy Bright had a good point last night saying it, they might be holding on to some of their cash for some of these big bonuses. Yeah. And again, there's some guys making noise, but Foye Oluokun led the league in tackles last year. I didn't want him back at $15 million. For great guy, 6th-round pick, Yale graduate, leader, love him. Not at $15 million. Yeah. There's other things that need to do with that money. Christian Kirk, 4th year in the league, nice. I think 3 or 4 touchdowns, 980 yards is a career high in his 4th year. 5'10", 5'9", smaller guy. $84 million. Meanwhile, Devontae Adams is just sitting there smacking his head.
No.
SMH. Playing on a 1-year deal. And again, us regular people, that money goes far beyond, $20 million. What are you complaining about? But when you're in that world and you're surrounded by that world, one, you can go through that money in a hurry. Patrick Ewing's famous statement, we make a lot of money. We spend a lot of money. But, you also are, it's a pride thing. It's like, I've averaged 1,400 yards and, I can't get a deal. And this guy, just got $85 million. You know, it's a measuring stick to a certain extent. And that's what it becomes. So it's not necessarily about the money, but what the money says.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you 100% there. We got Cameron Petaway coming in here saying, will there be a quality right tackle late in the second round? There might be a quality right tackle late in the second round. However, you need to leave free agency where you feel comfortable, where that isn't the only play. Just as kind of a story here, I won't give all the details of this draft pick, but in the 2017 draft, the Broncos went into the second round saying, we have to come out of this pick with an interior defensive lineman, no matter what. And they end up taking big time bust, I guess, as much as a bust as a second round pick can be, but DeMarcus Walker, who didn't do diddly squat for the Broncos. When you go into the draft and you say, I must take position X.
Florida State guy.
Yes. One
Marcus
ACC
Walker,
Defensive Player of the Year.
Underachieving guy. Yeah,
Yep.
there's your problem right there. Go get DJ Jones from Ole Miss, who will bite your hand off before you let him get by you, opposed to the 5-star Florida State guy that underachieved in college.
Hell, he did not underachieve. He was ACC Defensive Player of the Year. He had a lot of stats, but he was a tweener. You know, not explosive enough or bending enough to play the edge. Could not hold up against a double team to save his life. Just
probably playing with 5 guys that are pretty good next to him.
Yep. He's cleared. But
yeah.
Anyway, the point here is it's always a bad strategy to go into the draft, especially picking at pick 64. If you have like the first pick, then obviously you could say this position no matter what, or even the top 5. You know, you can kind of, if there's like this year, if let's say the Houston, we need to go edge, you're going to have a good edge there at 3. I would almost guarantee it. But at pick 64, if you sit there and say, I have to come away with the right tackle at pick 64, you're limiting your options. And it's already so hard to hit good players that far down the draft. So you need to, obviously you can stack your draft board where odds are the highest player you have graded there is a tackle, but you cannot be, you know, looking through a pinhole at the draft board at pick 64. So you need to make sure you're comfortable with right tackle prior to the draft, or have somebody in your back pocket that you can sign after the draft, rather than limiting yourself to purely right tackle there in the second round. Will there be a quality right tackle there? I'm interested in Abraham Lucas, Braxton Jones.
Say first.
Round 3.
6'7", 330 with a 4.9. How's he going to fall to 60? Come on.
You never know.
I mean, Spencer Brown did last year. He fell to almost 100.
Yep.
You know, so
Absolutely.
They can be had for sure. But again, you don't want to panic in free agency though either, Nick. You know, you don't want to overpay for a guy and hamstring your options also. So again, be patient. The phrase that y'all have heard me say before, I'll say again, it's not the guys you miss, it's the guys you get that can't play.
Yeah, 100%.
So be patient. You know, maybe you have to make a trade later on, but there will be cap casualties after free agency. There will be cuts. There will be all kinds of things that it's better to be a little patient and maybe settle late than settle early.
Yep, you're absolutely right on that one. Tyler coming in saying, as things stand today, what do you think about our back end will look like playing nickel or dime? Where do we need to upgrade before the season? This is the thing, too, that people are not understanding. I think it was Benjamin Albright. He said it multiple times, and I've heard it from some other people as well. Broncos want to live in dime. They want to play 6 defensive backs as often as possible. So all you people screaming about linebacker, maybe pivot your screams or change your screams. Yeah, 1. Maybe, I mean,
and
honest
he might
to
be
God,
a big safety.
Yeah, honest to God, they would be, it's from what my understanding is, right now, they would be okay going into next season with Baron Browning and Jonas Griffith and not making another move at the linebacker spot. So get used to that. If Josie Jewell comes back, that's great. It sounds like he actually has a pretty good market, though, because he's a decent linebacker, better than Kenny Young, despite what some people say on Twitter, which is learn ball, folks. Sorry to get on that high horse, but man. But the Broncos, they're going to want to live in 6 defensive back formations. And right now, I would say there are only 4 guys that I'm comfortable with in those 6 defensive back spots. So Broncos need to be looking at another defensive back, maybe another safety, and definitely another cornerback. And the name to keep an eye on today, everybody's talking Chandler Jones, but it sounds like the Broncos are very interested in Darius Williams as well, played for the Rams. I know the Chargers are going at him as well. I'm curious if what happens there, because the Broncos lost out on Sheldon Joseph Day to the Chargers. Will they also lose out on Darius Williams, even though the Chargers already signed a cornerback? Will they do it again? Who knows? But keep an eye on Darius Williams to Denver. Can play slot, can play some outside. Very competitive at the catch point, and a good scheme fit and some familiarity with his former defensive back coach, Ejiro Evero.
Chad coming in, I'd be happy getting into the draft if we're able to sign a right tackle and an edge rusher. Hell, what do you need the draft for then? No, I'm just joking.
Yep.
I hope we can get another decent signing before free agency ends. Can't wait for this football season now. It's fun, isn't it? It's fun. And you're not done. I mean, you're not, even if you were done. And I think Chad started it last night. He's like, well, we started with the finale. We started with a Russell Wilson. I see that all the time in recruiting. People say, oh, we got a 5-star. Who's next? Oh, yeah. It's like, well, if you had finished with the guys you started with, you'd be thrilled. Instead, you started with your finale, kind of like, American Beauty, when, it starts with the finale and then works its way back. So, reverse your timeline and say, okay, we got DJ Jones and Russell Wilson. Yeah, okay, but you're not done. You're not done. You got money to spend, and the draft is still coming, for God's sakes. You got money, the draft, and a hot team. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a fun week. It's going to be a fun month, fun couple of months for sure. Travis says, do you think we'll still draft a QB this year? My answer to this is yes, or a veteran minimum.
Yep.
You're not spending any money on the quarterback. So you either get a cheap draft pick, 4th round or later, 5th round or later, or a veteran minimum type, no more than $2 million or so. That's what I think, Nick. What about you?
I think 4th round or later. You can take the top 6 guys off the board there. So Caleb Ellaby is a name to keep an eye on. There's also Geronimo from used to play Tennessee. He's got some arm talent, maybe somebody there, like talking 7th round for that kind of body as well. And then the quarterback from Brown, who looked decent at the combine, has some tools as well. Maybe he's one to keep an eye on. Mark Schrader coming in. Zay Jones' contract was insane, in my opinion. Yeah, it was insane. The Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, I mean, gosh, there's a reason.
Your guy from Brown.
EJ Perry, that's correct. Yep. So yeah, insane. Who wins yesterday also? Not making a move is George Paton, because of the deals that Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton got when Christian Kirk and Zay Jones got those on the open market. I mean, that Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton are looking at each other like, man, did we make a mistake? I mean, we got Russell Wilson now, which is great, but like we could have gotten paid on the open market.
See, this is why I don't listen to sports radio, because I want to interject. It's so I'm when I'm producing these shows, I'm back in there in the background just typing away, saying, why are we paying these guys? We're not going to get a quarterback. I'm like, one, you didn't pay them that much. You really didn't. Who would you rather have, Christian Kirk or Tim Patrick? Zay Jones or Cortland Sutton? And that's what makes this team so attractive for not only Russell Wilson, but Nathaniel Hackett. And to be able to go in, we kind of assumed, like it feels a little arrogant here that when we're talking about the coaching search, that everybody just kind of feels like Denver Broncos have first pick. Well, they did. They identified the guy they wanted. Meanwhile, the Jacksonville Jaguars are getting turned down before they even get interviews. So they have to overpay. Yep. Meanwhile, you're getting guys to sign hometown discounts and build a team and come to the Broncos from other teams. So gonna be a fun spring, that's for sure.
It should be a fun spring. Gosh, so much speculation what the Broncos are going to do there at that position, but we'll see. We got a super coming in here from Jess C. coming in here. Jess C 13. Possible right tackle that will start day 1 with our 2nd round pick. We already mentioned Abraham Lucas. He's one that might be down there. I don't think Bernard Raymond's going to fall that far, but with his 33-inch arm length, maybe he does. I'm a little bit raw, a little bit older for the position. Solid athlete, not an incredible athlete, so maybe he falls down there. A couple other names here that stick out in my head are Nicholas Petit-Friere from Ohio State, who is a good mover. I think he's a little bit high cut, and I don't think he has a great anchor, which concerns me a bit, especially going up against in a division that has Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack again, who are just, leverage balls of energy that will kill you if you don't have an anchor. And then also I mentioned Braxton Jones. I think he's probably more of a top of round 4 kind of guy.
That's where I was going to go.
Rasheed Walker.
Abraham Lucas, maybe Braxton Jones.
Yeah. Rasheed Walker's the other one. Really good athlete from Penn State. That said, he's much more of a ball of traits right now rather than a day 1 starter at the right tackle position. He's got technique work that he's got to do, and skill is as important at the offensive tackle spot as anything. You can be a great athlete, but if you don't know how to use your hands and play leverage, then good luck. So he's one that's
Tyler Smith, Tulsa.
I think he's a guard. I don't think he's a tackle, especially in the outside wide zone scheme. But he's
about the big boy?
Same thing, Daniel Falele. I'm also worried about him playing at elevation, considering he's already kind of a
Falele, 400 pounds, 6'8". But I think it was 15 years ago, I heard one of the Dallas Cowboys say, I'm not the first guy to play in this league at 400 pounds. I'm just the first one to admit it.
Yeah.
They're getting bigger. They're getting bigger. We'll have 400 pounder in 10 years. We'll be talking about 400 pounds being the new 300 pounds.
Yep.
But he could start. He could play. Falele, but he might be there. He might be there at 64, maybe.
Yeah,
I think it'll be pretty close for him. But yeah, there will be, again, just because it was stupid doesn't mean it isn't true. But Spencer Brown was taken around 90 to 100, somewhere in that pick by Buffalo Bills at the end of the third.
Yep.
He could have been a day one starter.
Yep. Absolutely.
And he's going to make Trevor Penning a lot more money for it too, coming from the same school. Like, man, we really missed on this guy. So I missed on this one. I think Trevor Penning is going to get drafted a little higher than he should based on the success that Spencer Brown had.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I also think his technique is a little bit better than Spencer Brown's was coming out. But that's, you also had the unknown of you and I not playing a season in 2020. Mm-hmm. So that makes things tough as well. We got Nathan coming in. Good support, Nathan. Always rocking the handsome lip sweater there, looking snazzy. Good morning, MHH family. What's the most surprising contract you've seen so far? Also, we got Lawrence Rivera coming in. Much love, guys.
What is the most? That's a good question.
Most surprising for me is Christian Kirk. I mean, the fact that he got 17, 18 per for not a lot of output for a very pass heavy wide receiver, heavy offense with the Cardinals. I mean, that one is a little eye popping for me. Also, another one that's surprising for me, and this is in the wrong way, but I'm surprised that, oh my goodness, JC Jackson only got 16.5 million per. Now, part of this is because the way the contract is set up, the Chargers, because this is the other one, rookie cost controlled salary cap. They have a top 5 quarterback only counting 7 million against the cap. And Justin Herbert, the Chargers were able to front load JC Jackson's contract. So while he has less per year, he's getting paid a lot immediately. So that's, that changes a little bit, but still, I mean, there was talk of the Dolphins and the Raiders going after J.C. Jackson and paying him 18 to 20 per year, which is, I mean, for a cornerback, I mean, cornerbacks are going to get paid, especially good boundary cornerbacks, but still, that's wow. And then he only gets 16.5, especially the Chargers. That one surprised me a little bit. I was hoping that he would get a little bit more money.
I guess you think the NFL's leading tackler should be worth about $15 million a year. Similar to Bobby Wagner money, and he's 26 years old. But Foye going from 2 to 15, Foye Oluokun going to the Jaguars on a 3-year, $45 million deal. That was good. Good for him. Good for him. I thought he might go to the 7 or 8 range, but he certainly had a season. That's for sure. Travis coming back, and Miles Jack was just released. Miles Jack is one of the best high school football players I ever saw. Just phenomenal. Played running back too. It was a question on which side of the ball he was going to play on. So he was just released. Good. Thanks for the chat for keeping us updated. Travis coming in saying, I'm thinking Carson Strong in the 3rd round to learn from Russell Wilson. Not anymore. I don't think you want to use that high a pick on a guy that you have no intention of playing, especially no intention of playing that you're hoping doesn't play for like ever, 7, 8 years. That I wouldn't go there. I'd rather take a 6th or 7th round pick on somebody else. Before Russell Wilson, I would have said Carson Strong, but that was because I probably wanted him to start next year. Mm-hmm. So, you're getting Russell Wilson. If this was Aaron Rodgers, maybe, but Russell Wilson, you're hoping to have 6, 7 years, and you won't be able to control Carson Strong for that long.
Yeah, absolutely. Carson Strong sounds like he did a little bit better at the Combine than he did at the Senior Bowl. Kind of rubbed some people the wrong way at the Senior Bowl in his interviews. This is hearsay. That's all we can go off of this time of year, this kind of thing. So take it as you will. But I don't think the Broncos are going to be drafting him. Also, I think what he does schematically is going to be so different from Russell Wilson that you probably want somebody with a little bit more twitch to their step where you can run a similar style offense as possible. I think Caleb Ellaby makes sense. I mean, 6'1.5", a little thicker, not the same, maybe actually the similar athlete now that Russell Wilson's 33, but that one makes a lot more sense. I think we can put to bed Carson Strong to Denver. Wyatt Horning coming in. Go Hawks, Wyatt. Don't forget we still have a lot of capital in the draft, so a trade-up is still possible if the beginning of the 2nd round has a lot of needed talent. Absolutely. If somebody the Broncos love at edge or offensive tackle, those are the 2 positions to keep in mind. Maybe the dark horse here is safety, because there are, I think, 3 safeties who could fall to pick 40 range that are extremely interesting and would be dynamic for the Broncos, especially if they want to play that heavy 6 defensive back defense. But the Broncos could trade up. I think that it's probably more prudent for them to hold their picks or trade back and accumulate 2023 capital to help to offset losing 1 and 2 next year, because you don't have the excess picks in 2023 like you do this year for trading Vaughn and all the wheelings and dealings. But we'll see. I mean, there's going to be some players who fall that the Broncos may look to go up and get. Maybe somebody they have graded as an early 2 or maybe even a late 1 that falls to pick 45, and they're like, oh my gosh, like that guy shouldn't be there. We're going to go get him. I know we want more picks, but it's more about getting good players.
Clee coming in saying Garrett Bowles is the second highest paid left tackle in all of the NFL next season. He is now, because Jake Matthews restructured his contract. And I've said, again, maybe there's this many similarities between teams, but Nick and I doing Broncos and Falcons together at times, there just seem to be lots of connections here, because Jake Matthews and Garrett Bowles to me were very similar players. And Jake Matthews just got an extension that dropped him from $24 million to about $15 million, which to me is about right on his cap hit. That's okay. I'm not going to give you crap anymore for not being better than you are. It's not your fault that you're not any better, but you were overpaid, and that is hamstringing the Atlanta Falcons. So Garrett Bowles is now the second highest paid as far as cap hit in the NFL. He's not good enough. He's not earning that. He's not the second. I don't even think he's top 5. So would it be nice to get a restructure there or extension and lower that cap hit, or better yet, play like the second best left tackle in the NFL. So good shout out there, Clee.
Yeah, I'm looking at the top tackles right now, and from what I'm seeing, Garrett Bowles isn't all the way up there. This is for 2022. Trent Williams.
I sort mine by cap hits.
I'm looking at the average per year.
Yeah, I sort mine by cap hits because that's the money that counts right now.
Yeah, I think
the average per year I don't necessarily look at, because so many voidable years and all that crap. Mm-hmm. I always look at what is he counting against the team right now, and he's number 2.
Okay, well, Trent Williams, David Bakhtiari, Laramie Tunsil, Ronnie Stanley, Ryan Ramczyk have average APY. You're right, because the Broncos had they backloaded that deal, so he was cheaper last year to be more expensive this year. You say he's number 2 right now. Let's just wait. Let's give it.
Again, we were talking about, do they have more money? There you go.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep Garrett Bowles? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. So we could work something out and get an extension and lower his cap hit by $8 to $10 million.
Yep.
So
and let's give it 2 weeks because Teron Armstead is about to get paid, and then Garrett Bowles will be the number 3 highest paid, I would assume, because Armstead is going to get a big contract.
Yep. Chad coming back in saying, so what position are our next biggest need before going into the draft? Right tackle, edge, or inside linebacker? Beforehand, before all this started, quarterback, edge, right tackle. One of those is down.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say edge, right tackle still. Edge is still your biggest need. You're going to help the edge rushers by getting Jones, getting DJ Jones. That helps the edge. That helps the linebackers. That makes the linebackers better. That makes the edge better. But now you still need edge big time.
Yeah. Linebacker isn't the need that everyone keepps saying it is. It's just not.
No,
they might
I'd
take
go
one of
defensive back before I'd go linebacker.
100%. Yep. That's you might need 2 defensive backs.
And honestly, Chad, it would take me a long time to get to linebacker. I'd think guard, right tackle, guard, center, another tight end. A linebacker might be one of the least that you need. Yeah. And nice to have a backup guy. But again, as Nick was saying, if I go into this season with Jonas Griffith and Baron Browning, and I might only have one on the field 60% of the time, I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and the other thing is with the linebacker position, it's an incredible draft for the off-ball linebacker spot in the rounds 2 through 4 range. So you can sit there at pick 64, 75, 96, 114, 115. There's going to be somebody there that you really like. I mean, I guarantee that. That's how this class is stacking up. And linebackers, just how the position is right now, those aren't going to be flying off the board in the first round. I mean, Nakobe Dean is plummeting. He might be there round 2 right now, the way the NFL talking heads are talking about him. And then Devin Lloyd tested okay, but not top 15 pick, not maybe even, maybe he's going to be there around 20. So there's going to be linebackers to be had day 2. Do not fret there. And also Jonas Griffith and Baron Browning, you're going to be okay there. Kevin coming in. Hey, Scott, tell us Adam Anderson, edge from Georgia. I heard he could have been a first rounder if he didn't have the off-field issues. Thoughts? Were you pointing at me because I need to answer it?
Yeah, I don't know anything about Adam Anderson.
Really smaller, twitchy edge rusher. was dismissed from Georgia's program for a rape case that's undergoing current investigation. He was more of the finesse, small, wide pass rusher for that Georgia defense. They kind of lost that type of edge rusher once he was gone. Didn't seem to matter that much, except maybe in that Alabama game where they lost the SEC championship game. But due process there for that one. Let's let it play out. I don't even know if he's in the draft with everything going on. I mean, wasn't brought to the combine interviews there. I'm guessing that until he everything is solved for him, he's a UDFA, kind of like Alexander Johnson. So
and once and Ethan coming in saying Jack only making 10 million, surprised they couldn't trade him. Yeah, he's still 26 years old. He came into the league young.
That knee
played 15, had 108 tackles last year. So I was like, was there an injury involved? No, he's pretty much been healthy most of his career. Yeah, I don't get that one per se. I don't know if these sack numbers are right because he should be a guy that you could line up at edge with his explosiveness. He only has 6.5 in his career. So getting out of Jacksonville could do him some good. Do him some good.
He's, honest to God, in this scheme for the Broncos, he's much more of a box safety, 6 defensive back kind of look where you're going to line him up over a slot sometimes and kind of follow some detached tight ends or moving running backs or even maybe some slot wide receivers than you are playing in the box. He's not the best in the world at filtering between the garbage and coming downhill. A lot of his tackles stats are because their defensive line is terrible and he chases and tackles and accumulates. I mean, it's kind of like starts in baseball or something, like somebody's going to get that stat, like no matter what, somebody's making the tackles. And sometimes I don't think tackles are a very good stat at all for impact in today's NFL.
Right.
It's an
and that's why
accumulation
it surprised me that he's only got 6.5 because I think he was at UC. He ended up at UCLA, right?
Yeah, he was at UCLA.
Because I mean, again, he was a bouncy, twitchy guy with that just instinctive football player. Turn him loose, let him go after the quarterback. So, you walk him up to the line, even if he's a big safety type. Put him in an Eric Berry type role. He's bigger than Eric, but he's versatile. So yeah, at 10 million a year, we'll see what he gets now. But that surprises. 26 years old. That one surprises me. I'm with you on that one.
He had a degenerative knee though, also. So like the physicals and stuff for him.
Again, how are the medicals look?
Yeah.
So, and the Pookie Banner fund. Yeah. Now I'm going to say, listen, I'm okay with it. And I hate to be a nag, but Ethan's insistent. And right now, what Ethan wants, Ethan's going to get. So get Pookie's ass on the banner right next to Ethan's name. When you got to send us a high-res picture so we can put your name on there.
There we go.
Put you on the side like a photo bomb.
Yeah.
And Jeremy's coming with a good comment too. So how do you feel about Bortles on the vet minimum given his history with Hackett? That happens almost every single time.
Yep.
Somebody comes in, they bring in one of their old guys to help teach the system.
Yep.
So I think that would make a lot of sense if he's very familiar with him, assuming that he has checked that ego that we were talking about and is comfortable being a backup and isn't stirring things up. I should be out here. And, the back in my day, we were better, can it get out? We don't want that. We need you to come in here and be a leader and help get the new guys, some of the new guys learn the system, not just the quarterback, the receivers, everybody. That I think it might make a lot of sense. And you see it happen quite often. So that's a good shout too, Jeremy.
I am really curious, not concerned, that's the wrong word, but how much the Hackett, quote, Hackett offense is still the Bortles Hackett offense, because he spent, 3 or 4 years under Matt LaFleur, which is a different concept conceptually than what he had with the Doug Marrone, Nathaniel Hackett offense in Jacksonville. So I don't know if it carries over as much.
And then, thinking about terminology, the terminology might have changed also.
Yeah.
So
it was an inside.
He doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Jordan Love, what is it, Nick Boyle or something, or Ken Boyle? They just got rid of the Packers. I mean, who knows? I think you're in the right area though, because it is a familiarity position. But a lot of these guys that they're bringing in aren't these former Jacksonville guys. It's the Packers system. It's the LaFleur system, the off branch of McVay Shanahan tree. So we'll see. We got Wyatt coming in. Nick, I'd be okay with our capital next season, getting more capital. That way we can use 2 picks on 2 Hawkeyes, Jack Campbell and Sam Laporta, make up for our losses this season in Phantom, possibly Jewel. Both of these guys are probably day 2 picks right now. Jack Campbell he's not a coverage backer, but I think that the game has changed a little bit again, where everybody's like, "Oh, I want speed and smaller because we're playing this cover 1 and cover 3 scheme, or heavy emphasis on the back end." But now the game has changed a little bit, where like these big hulking linebackers and run stopping defensive tackles are more valuable because it means you can allocate less bodies and you can play the packages on the back end that are more conducive to stopping the pass. So like everybody's like, "Oh, why is the nose tackle as valuable right now?" Or the 260-pound linebacker. It's because then I'm only allocating 6 guys to the box rather than 7. And rather than having a smaller linebacker who can cover, guess what? I'm not going to have a linebacker, and I'll just put a defensive back out there. Duh, the doy, that makes total sense. So Ethan coming back in. Gregory was signed with the Cowboys, talking about Randy Gregory. It did sound like yesterday the Broncos were interested in Randy Gregory. A lot of smoke coming out. I'm curious if that was Chandler Jones is getting a little pricey. Maybe we want to go to Randy Gregory instead. Now that's off the table. I would keep an eye on the likes of, obviously, Chandler Jones is still number 1, but also Zadarius Smith was released, and I'm really curious to see what his market is as well. Also keep an eye on the market for Daniel Hunter from the Vikings. Those are 2 names to keep in mind. I'm a little bit bummed that DeMarcus Lawrence restructured his contract because I absolutely love DeMarcus Lawrence. But some names to keep an eye on. There's still a lot of edges today. I think the Broncos with Gregory off the table now ramp up their efforts for Chandler Jones.
I haven't seen it talked a lot about here, but it seems like 2 teams that are good teams that are in it, also possible destinations for Chandler Jones, are the Buffalo Bills and the San Francisco 49ers. Might be your biggest competition for Chandler Jones.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And Gregory getting $13 million per year. That's actually a pretty good deal for Gregory. I know he hasn't had a great statistical season. Hasn't statistical seasons, but he's still. I went back last night because the Broncos are interested. I'm like, okay, I'll watch a couple of Randy Gregory games. Dude makes boneheaded plays sometimes that drives me nuts. Neutral zone infraction, Randy Gregory. Offsides, Randy Gregory. Personal foul, Randy Gregory. But man, dude has twitch. Dude is slippery. I get why they wanted to keep him. He's an interesting guy, so we'll see.
EJ, real quick, coming in. Says, what thoughts on Jadeveon Clowney for the Broncos? Jadeveon Clowney's been disappointing for me. I mean, we were talking about putting in a rating system for college football recruiting. A rate to 10.0. What's a 10? Then we'll move them down from there. And if you're above a 9.5, you're a 5-star, etc. We use Jadeveon Clowney as our 10 for defensive ends. This is the perfect prospect. And that's how good he was. Size, athleticism, flexibility, power, everything. And he ended up being a number 1 pick. I mean, the NFL guys thought he had it too. And it just hasn't quite clicked. It seemed like he took his last year off at South Carolina to protect himself and never quite got it going again. Now he's made plenty of money. But he signed a 1-year, $8 million a year last year with the Browns. And it doesn't sound like, are the Browns going to bring him back?
No.
Let me see his overall numbers, because he should be a 15 to 20 sack guy.
The thing with Clowney is that he's always been a really good athlete, but the technique never really matched the athleticism.
He's been in the league 8 years already.
Yeah, came in really young. I really think Clowney would be an interesting player for the Broncos, with especially if I keep talking about it. If you're looking to play, your base defense is more about stopping the run with as minimal guys possible. Clowney, say what you will about the pass rush, but he is a dominant run edge. He just kills tackles, jars them. If you want to run that jet sweep, guess what? He's going to have that tackle backwards, 5 yards.
We fake it in Denver.
What was that?
We only fake the jet sweep in Denver.
Oh,
right, Jerry?
God. Well, the Chiefs don't. But he's really good. They also really like the versatility that he brings. My favorite ability of Clowney is when you get him isolated over a guard or over the A gap. Good luck, because he is an absolute unit, speed to power over those kind of guys. So I would be interested in Clowney to Denver, as long as the personality and the work ethic and everything off the field check out for him. Obviously, I'm not going to pay him big money, but I like the ability of him to be a edge rusher in base packages, and then on those money downs, the third downs, get creative with how you're using him and lining him up.
Yeah, just looking at his combine measurements back in the day, 6'5", 266, 4'5", 38-inch vertical. In high school, Jadeveon Clowney could do a standing backflip in full pads. Biggest guy on the field. He's just a freak of nature.
Yeah. He had injuries early on too. That
at $8 million at edge, you could do worse. If that's what it comes down to. Again, that's one of those be patient types. Don't overspend now. That'd be a decent bag. If you go through all of this and you pick up, Boye Mafe, maybe you trade two picks together and move up some and grab him at the top of the second round. And Jadeveon Clowney, you're feeling pretty good about the edge position. And you only spent $7-8 million to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys.
We're at the Randy Gregory deal is a little bit more, $28 million guaranteed. And top of the show, I think it was Juan Espinoza talking about the money. 5-year, $70 million deal. So what you're really looking at here is 5 years, $28 million. That's what he has got. Will he ever see that $70 million? No, he won't. You start looking, when does that cap hit and the dead cap start falling off? That's when he's either cut, traded, or restructured.
Yeah, makes total sense to me. That's a good one. Also, we got to get out of here pretty soon, but keep the supers coming. We'll keep going. We'll keep dancing as long as the people are throwing stuff at us. Gabe coming in. Jones had 5.5 sacks after his 5-sack game early on. He's on the wrong side of the age for edge rushers. That's true, but from the tape that I saw, he's still extremely dynamic. The stats say that he was still getting pressures at a pretty high clip despite the 5-sack game, and pressures and QB hurries are much more predictive than that of sacks. Sacks, as you guys know, following Von Miller for a number of years, sacks are pretty volatile. They come in bunches when they do happen. But he was very good for them last year. Still, he's got a lot of length as well and some size. I mean, 6'5", 265, I think 34-inch arm length, which matters a heck of a lot. And his play dropped more so correlated to the I think JJ Watt going down and him accumulating much more attention from opposing offensive lines and whatnot, sliding over, because you need to play an inside-outside game or a 1-2 game on the defensive line with pass rushers if you can. There's a reason that the Rams went out there and got Von Miller to go with Aaron Donald. It's because if you double one guy, guess what? This other guy's free. So I think that's really important and impactful. And I think Jones is still a really good player, despite the 5-sack game and kind of falling off statistically after that.
Well, and you know what else he did in the last 7 games was force 4 fumbles.
Yeah.
So, he's getting it done in multiple ways. How would a turnover every other game sound from your edge? I'll take it.
Pretty good. All right. Anything else coming in here, Scott? Or should we?
We're fairly well caught up. About time to get us out of here and get to work for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some stupid trolls coming in here. But guys, I got to get going. I got work to do as well. So we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for coming in today. Make sure you're following Scott and I. Scott is at Twitter at Scout Kennedy, and I'm at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, we got Samaki Hill coming in.
Yep, Samaki. Do we get Miles Jack now that they released him? Again, he's not that expensive. He's pretty young. The knee condition that Nick mentioned is a little scary. But where is the fit for him right now? Can he be an edge? I don't think he's good enough to be an edge here. I mean, he'd be a pass rush specialist. He wouldn't be an edge.
Yeah.
Maybe that's his place if he's got a knee. If you're worried about his knee, coming in and doing that type of thing. I know that sounds stupid, Scott. He's only got like 6 sacks in his career. I know, but he's got the athleticism to go out and be a pass rush specialist, to be a specialist of sorts. And if he's got injury problems, limiting his options might be a good thing. But I would say no. Overall, I would say no. I don't think it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It does. Oh, we got, is Ethan coming back in here?
Yeah.
Is there? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Nick Kendall Heater Fund. Oh my God. They're supposed to come today. I actually have to call them here in a little bit to make sure that they are coming. I have the space heater going right now, which is fine in here. It's I've been sleeping with the dog on the couch because we have a fireplace, and the dog gets up every 2 hours to shift, and my wife cannot sleep like that. She's a very light sleeper as it is. So I've been sleeping on the couch, which has not been great. Yesterday I woke up, scared the absolute bleep out of me, a face this close to me holding a shoe. Like, hey, it's time to play.
Time to get up.
Oh my God, it was 3 a.m. So I'm struggling. But yeah, thank you so much, Ethan. We appreciate you. We do absolutely have to get Javonte Williams on that banner for you. I know that I say running backs don't matter, but in the second round on the rookie contract, that's when they matter. Those are the ones that matter. He's got 3 more years of mattering to me.
They might not matter, but when you've got a good one and when you don't, that's for damn sure.
Absolutely. Well, we got a good one today. I think we're going to have another good one today also, guys. Again, keep your eyes out for Darius Williams and Chandler Jones. The market's shifting continuously for the Broncos, but those are the two names that I've heard personally. So we'll see. I don't think George Paton is going to overspend, but they definitely want to get somebody. Ethan coming in as the closer. We appreciate you. Michael in the house. Great show today. Broncos for breakfast with Nick and Scott. Go Broncos. We'll see you in 10 minutes on Twitter, Michael. Appreciate you so much. Make sure you guys are, this is obviously Broncos for breakfast. We're here every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday morning at 7:30 Mountain Time for your morning drive and just hanging out. I know that a lot of people enjoy listening to us in the shower. Weird, but whatever. I won't kink shame. So make sure you're safe.
To us.
Yeah, I guess that's
better
than it's better than looking at us.
We might do a show in the shower one day, you know?
Yeah, how much are we talking here? No, okay, yeah, absolutely.
Right here. Heads up.
I need to hit the gym. That needs to be post hiking season when I'm kind of gaunt and but
right in time for our Manscaped reads.
Oh, there
Speaking
we go.
Manscaped.
Yeah, we're getting way off the we're getting way off. Make sure you guys are also following us at Huddle Up Pod, as well as at Mile High Huddle. If you guys are on Facebook, join our community there at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod, as well as facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. People listening to us after the fact, or if you're a podcast listener at all, if you're a psychopath who listens to content at 2 times speed, just so you can consume as much as possible and become the internet, then make sure you head on to iTunes, find the Huddle Up Podcast, leave us a 5-star review and a comment. Helps us a heck of a lot. There's a lot of great content producers and people in the draft in the Broncos sphere of things, but we like to think we're doing things slightly different here and as enjoyable, and the community aspect is big. So make sure you're going there and giving us a shout out. Also, if you're on YouTube, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe, like, and share. I see we got 50 reacts in here, which is actually a pretty good number for a Tuesday morning show. I guess it is a big show with the free agency going on right now. But if you're joining us right now, you haven't done so yet, please click the likes up there, the heart react, the care react. We have an angry react coming in here from Jacob Fry. Come on, Jacob. It's probably my linebacker disparaging comments. I need to be a little bit slanderous these days. I can't tease you.
My big forehead.
It is
rub
pretty
people the wrong way when they can see themselves in my forehead.
Yeah. Here we go. Free agency studs and suds podcast. We're good. There you go. Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate you. We will see you tomorrow on Scott's channel at youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy, and probably do a top 10 mock draft there, since that's no longer the case for the Broncos.
I like the idea of doing it. It feels a little like, who cares? It's strange. It's like, who cares about the draft right now in free agency? But we still care about the draft, without a doubt.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, gosh, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have to use a different mock draft simulators for Mondays going forward. We appreciate everyone. We will see you tonight on Building the Broncos, maybe with some more news, unless George Paton does a classic, wait until everybody's asleep on the east side of the country and then make moves. But we appreciate you. Yeah, Scott. We'll see you later. Have a good one. This question's been asked multiple times, so I'm going to get to this one. What happened to Travis Fulgham? I think he was a 1-year contract and is a free agent again. He was a free agent most of last year. The Broncos brought on him on late. He's another one where, like, if your wide receiver core is bad, you still have to put somebody out there that's going to catch footballs. And Travis Fulgham was fine, but he's not a difference maker at all. So he accumulated stats because the Eagles had no pass catchers of quality that could do that. So I think he's a free agent again. It's my understanding. Maybe he's a futures contract, but I think he's old enough where that's not the case. So, all right, guys, everyone have a good one. We're going to get out of here. I got to walk the dog quick and get on into work. We appreciate you. Stay safe. Choose kindness, choose compassion. Day 2 of free agency. Go Broncos.